some high contrast black and white shots. I've set a really nice high contrast black and white film recipe to my Ricoh GR3X. Hi, it's Peter here. Let's get right into the business. I think the sun lights the tears quite nicely. The light hits the Parliament House and gives the composition a slight distracting element. The image is slightly off balance. I tend to like images that are slightly off balance. I don't know, what about you? What do you think about images that are not perfectly or are not made perfect compositions? I tend to like when there is something slightly distracting element in a good way. It cannot be too distracting. But let's continue. This corridor with a little waterfall is an interesting place to photograph. The light inside the museum makes a nice abstract image. Having a door on the side gives a little more context to the otherwise quite abstract image. The waterfall next to the stairs looks mystical in high contrast black and white image. The triangle the light makes inside the museum is interesting. High contrast works well for this abstract photograph. What do you think about abstract photographs? Because I will have quite a few more of these abstract photographs. You know, abstraction was not my intention. But sometimes when you go out and photograph, you know, something just happens and you get a few images like these. First images are quite abstract. And then you tend to see similar type of things. And that's what happened to me on this photo walk. There were also some people inside the museum, so I made a totally different type of image from the same spot. When you're in the same spot, try different compositions and different exposures, because that makes the final image. You can, you know, move slightly or turn the camera to the other side or something, and you will find a lot new images. So work the scene. I tend to just look at one thing and then just move on. That's my type of photographing. But I try to be more patient and work the scene a little bit and look a bit more around than I have done previously. And that also teaches me, and probably if you do that, it will teach you too, to see new type of images. I've been planning my next trip to Berlin, Prague and Brussels. And of course I'm going to do some street photography there. But there's one thing that I haven't done that much is travel photography. And there comes into place Skillshare, the sponsor of this video. It's a great place to learn new skills and refresh and update existing skills that may be rusty. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry experts in travel photography, storytelling and more. Skillshare can help you take your career skills, hobbies, passions or side hustles to the next level. I wish this learning path was available when I started my YouTube journey. It would have made it so much easier. Now I had to learn it the hard way. This could have been the easy way. And speaking of travel photography, I particularly like the Travel Street Photography Telling Visual Stories with Powerful Street Photos class by Sean Dalton. And what's good about Skillshare is that it's not only about watching videos, it's also about making assignments. Like this particular course has an assignment where you send 3 images, street photography, travel photography images, and explain your thinking process when you were making those images. And you also get feedback, and I think that's the greatest part of all this. The first 500 people to click the link and join Skillshare will get 1 month free of Skillshare. You should join now and start learning a new skill or refresh your older skills. But now let's go back to the topic of this video. Those scaffolds look good in harsh light. I think a vertical image works better on this particular one. I've been asked lately a few times why I make so many vertical images. And to be honest, I don't have an answer for that right now. It is something that I need to think about, and most likely it has something to do with the composition. Well, obviously. But why I prefer at the moment and lately more vertical images than horizontal ones. As I said, I don't know, but I will think about that, and maybe I'll make a video about that. If you want to see a video about horizontal versus vertical images, just let me know in the comments down below, and I'll think what I come up with. This building has big windows on the other side, and there is going to be some nice reflection from the light. I did go inside to see if there were some photos waiting for me. This first one is not that interesting. But this clock is something I keep coming back to. Someone was coming, and I hope that she will be in a perfect position when she's in my frame. Yes, the photo came out as I wanted it to be. There is a certain melancholy in the image which I like. Luckily she had a white hat on. It makes a nice separation from the background. If the person had let's say like black hair and dark clothes, it would kind of blend in, but the white hat kind of makes a nice separation, even though I was able to make the photograph while she was in the light part, so it's kind of like a silhouette type image. But still, I think the white hat is something that adds to the image. This image from the escalator is, yeah, it's okay. The composition is a bit distracting in a good way because of the light part is at the top of the image. It contradicts the curve the escalator makes from the left to the right. And as I was talking earlier, I think these things that contradicts each other in an image to set it off balance slightly is a lot more interesting than kind of like a perfect composition. Next I was heading towards the Oodi library because I knew it will look gorgeous in this light. Well, it's a beautiful building, it looks good in any light, but particularly when the sun is low and there will be some interesting light at the top of the building, as you can see from this footage. After making these two abstract images, I saw someone sitting inside right next to the window, and I thought that could be an interesting image. I have a habit of visiting same places over and over. I know that this time of the year the light inside the railway station is good. It is at its best in March and October. On the way, the crosswalk was something that caught my eye. I waited a little while for someone with white shoes. I thought the taxi will ruin my possible shot. Just in time it moved. I got the shot that I wanted. Is it a great shot? Probably not, but it is an interesting shot. I like this shot, and you know, I love white shoes. Because, you know, they kind of, how would I explain it? They kind of add to the image because, you know, the high contrast image, you got, you know, white and black, and then you have the white shoes. You know, it's something that, you know, I don't know what it is, but it usually makes an image more interesting. And there is always the possibility that, like the taxi will almost ruin the image, that in the city, when you're doing street photographs, and of course this applies to many other genres too, there's always some unexpected movement from cars, bicycles, scooters, and people that you can't really control. So be ready when everything falls into place and you have that narrow window where you, or the time frame where you can actually click the shutter button. So set everything ready, and that's why I like to have a simple camera and have everything ready, so I just can press the button or the shutter button, and yeah, I'm good to go with that. So I don't have to, you know, adjust the settings when everything happens. Then I will miss the shot. Having a simple camera helps a lot getting the shots. And then I realized that there is a handkerchief, or paper handkerchief, on the ground. Somebody has left it there. And I thought this could be an interesting shot. And yes, another abstract shot that the small little thing, the paper handkerchief, kind of makes the image, which is kind of astonishing that sometimes the small thing in an image is the decisive thing that is it a photograph or is it just crap? I think this is between. It's not one of my best shots, but without the handkerchief I wouldn't even bother to make the image. I sometimes use the touch screen as my shutter button. It's okay with the shots like this when the actual time when you make the image is not very crucial, because there is a slight shutter lag. As I said earlier, the light inside the railway station is not at its best. It's like 2 o'clock or something right now when I was out photographing, and it would have been better at noontime. Luckily, there was this interesting looking reflection. All I had to do is just to position myself, make the composition in my mind, and wait for someone to be there. The problem inside railway stations is that usually it's crowded. But luckily, Helsinki is not very crowded city, so I was able to isolate one person. Quite a perfect moment. And what I like about this is the shadow of the foot or the leg. And it almost looks like a reflection. And that makes the image a bit more interesting. Maybe I could have been a bit closer so that there's slightly too much at the bottom of the image. But, you know, that's what it is. Because all these images are, or almost like 99% of these images are straight out of camera and no cropping and no editing at all. I waited for a little while, but nothing really interesting happened, so I left and was heading to another place where I know that there are some nice light and shadow play on the ground. I was walking so that I can kind of position myself and have some of these diagonals of the reflection from the building. And again, I was waiting for someone. I preferred white shoes and a white hat or something similar so that there is a separation, because the building in the back is in the shade. The person is in the middle of this image, and then there is the sign of the mall. The name of the mall is City Center. It's slightly off, and again, slightly unbalanced image, which kind of bugs me in a good way. So again, an image that I like because of the slight mistake or the unbalanced composition. What do you think of this image? Is this any good? I know it's not a let's say a portfolio image, but I think it works quite well, and there is going to be some use for this image somehow. Next I was heading to Lasipalatsi Square. There's always something interesting. I was setting my camera to use the 71mm lens because I was, or not lens, but 71mm equivalent crop from the sensor in Ricoh GR3X. And I've set it to the button on the side, which is normally used as for Wi-Fi, but I've set it to what they call the crop mode. I can use 40mm, 50mm and 71mm lenses on this, and I had the 71 on because he was quite far away, and I pressed the shutter when he was moving his hands. He was probably stretching or something, and I think it's a lot more interesting image this way. Then there were some mats that were laid on the ground so people could sit on them, and I thought that this could make another abstract image. So what do you think about these images so far? It's not my best work, I know that, but I had a good time photographing these, and you know, please let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about this high contrast black and white stuff? Is that something that you could do, or is it totally off? You prefer images that has the whole grayscale and not that contrasty? And here is another video that you might want to watch about black and white. But hey, thanks for watching and bye for now.